What's going on YouTube? Evan here with Cloud9 Aquariums. Working on the dirty tank right now, and we just got it all fully planted. So this is step 3, alright? How to plant a dirty tank from scratch. I guess we'll just look at it. So as you can see, this is how I like to start. If I got a fresh tank, this is how I'll do it. So obviously I've already got my dirt, I've already got my cap on top, put my hardscape in, okay, everything's already good to go. Now, in order to plant it, I don't like to plant it while it's dry. Okay, I feel like that doesn't work very well. It's hard to kind of get the roots planted in there. They just don't take very well. It's a lot easier when there's the soil is moist. So this is how I like to do it. I like to put a couple inches of water in there, which is it just makes it a lot easier, especially when your tank is a deeper tank. You know, this is a 2-foot deep tank. So, you know, why get your entire arm dirty and wet all the way up to your, your armpit, when in reality you could just sit here and put your hands in 5 inches of water and get it all done. All you really need to do is just have enough water that you can get your main plants planted, and it'll support them so they don't break. That's another reason why we don't plant in a dry tank. If you're doing stem plants and things like that, those stems can't support themselves, in just an aerobic environment. They need that water to support their stems. So you don't have to get it completely full, but at least enough so that they're being supported. Obviously, I guess you can't really see what's going on, so I'll kind of just give you a little bit of a walkthrough real quick. Let's start over here, I guess. So you see what I like to do. I got my dwarf sedge. I like to do groups of 3. I'm sorry you're gonna get a lot of glare, but I'll see if I can get rid of it. So I did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, well, you can see it. This is my Madagascar lace plant. It is very small still. Well, actually, it's been small because I've been floating it for months, waiting to get it in this tank. So it downsized a little bit, but I'm sure it'll come back with proper fertilization and lighting. So, but this, so you guys, I know you can't see from up top, but this right here, actually it's cool, you can see my hand. This right here is all that hump that I was showing you guys that I was making in the other videos. So if you're just now getting into this video and you didn't realize this was step 3, go back and watch the other ones, because you're not going to have any clue what I'm talking about. So you'll follow a little bit better. But this is the hump that I made. Okay, so I went all the way back to the wall just because I think I gave it a little bit better dimension. So here's my Madagascar lace right in the middle. You'll see it's going to have plenty of room to grow. But down at the bottom of that little mound, we've got dwarf sedge, sorry. Dwarf sedge over here, dwarf sedge over here. That'll be nice because that'll kind of fill in right down around here. I'm not going to let it grow up all the way, especially not until this gets big. But, if it gets big and it decides it wants to kind of creep up here around, that'll be cool, because eventually you guys realize this is going to turn into a carpet type of a plant. So this is just going to be kind of a grassy type of a field. But it'll be a long grass, so it'll be kind of cool. Now, you'll see I've actually, you can kind of see, I've attached in a couple spots, just some Java moss. And the way I like to do it with this type of stuff, I know you guys have seen me just kind of zip tie it on. I had a big enough clumps, and I don't really care that much if it actually attaches or not. So just real quick, we'll see if it takes or not. What I did is I'll just pull a long strand of it, obviously it's a pretty big bunch of it, and then I'll wrap it around. So you'll see like something like this. I actually just wrapped it around this whole thing, and I twisted it like a twister for your bag. For instance, you might use it on like a bread bag or something like that. Same idea. I just twisted it, and I kind of just tucked that twist end underneath, so that way it kind of holds it from falling off. And we'll see how long it lasts. But I've had stuff root like that, and it's a little bit easier than twist tie, and it looks a little bit better. But if all else fails, you can always just zip tie it on right there, and then cut the zip ties off once it takes. Hopefully you guys can see. Okay, well, you can see the leaves at least. I can't really get rid of the light, unfortunately. But you can see the whole back side of this I actually planted. This all right here along here is just jungle val. Okay, so this is going to be really awesome, because what's going to happen is eventually this whole thing's just going to come out, and it's going to come over this whole thing. So when you're looking at it from afar, obviously it's just at the water level right now. But it's going to come, eventually it'll grow, all the way up, and it'll come out right over the front of that. It'll be awesome. But I'm only going to let it go behind this. Okay, so this wood right here, and you can't really see because, again, the water's murky. Obviously, I've been planting. But I've also got another batch of 3 right here, another batch of 3 right here. And I'd like to do the 3s because I think the triangles kind of look good when they're first starting out. And when you put it together, it actually looks natural, because if you notice, if you've ever seen dwarf sedge in his, well, when you're growing it in a tank, not just when you're planting it initially, but they actually do shoot off runners, and they tend to kind of group. So it kind of looks a little bit more natural if you have groupings around there, and it actually makes it nice, because once they start to group, once they actually grow, this grouping is just going to turn. It's not just going to go, from 3 to 4. It's going to go like 3 to 6 to 8. It's just going to really explode to 12. So it'll be nice, because you have a big patch here, big patch here, and then again, I can take clippings from the other ones and spread it out more as I want to go along. But I think it looks nicer if you have bunches going along than opposed to. Especially just because I don't want to have this tank looking too unnatural, even when you first plant it. Now, you got to remember, a lot of tanks, when you first plant them, are going to look unnatural. You can see my reflection in this awesome tank that's not full. But, yeah, well, I guess we'll just look at it and talk about it. So basically, the reason why I like to do that is because I don't want it to look too unnatural for the next couple weeks while I'm waiting for it to grow in. Obviously, when you first plant a tank, it's going to look a little bit unnatural, because, of course, you have to remember what the tank's going to look like once it's all actually grown in. Once this Madagascar lace is actually the biggest plant, as opposed to right now it's probably one of the smallest and most pathetic. And right now, you'll notice once I get this whole thing filled up, you probably won't even see maybe the jungle val over here, because I think this stuff's the longer stuff. But I took all my plants and I put the tallest ones over here, and the shorter little babies over here. So it's kind of going to give us a little bit of a thing over here. And again, I know I've talked triangles before, but you'll see I'm doing triangles here, and this whole thing's coming out at an angle towards us. If you look, I guess we'll get the top view. Well, you'll see we got it's an elongated triangle, but here's the half of the tank, right? So we've got an elongated triangle right here, right? Okay, so this is all going to be jungle val back here. You'll see there's a lot of swimming space up here. It's all low-lying plants. There's not going to be anything tall up here besides this, and there'll be some Java moss on there eventually. But, this is all going to be a nice swimming area. We're going to have a nice thing coming up here. We're going to have a triangle in this corner over here. You got your one triangle right there. You got a triangle right here. Boom, we're all set. We got our little circle right here that's coming out. That's going to be its own little entity in itself. But what's cool is it gives us some awesome free swimming space, a lot of open space. I know a lot of my aquascapes lately, well, I shouldn't say lately, 6 months, 8 months ago when, when I was doing some cool stuff on the channel, and we had, I put the new plants in, the 30 tall and the 40 long, that lovely scratched up thing, which you'll be happy to know. I currently don't even have set up right now. I've actually replaced that with a 55. Yeah, buddy, that's the first hint. But no, seriously. See, now you got me all off track, because I'm thinking about other tanks and what I want to do to them. But that's going to be an amazing tank when it's done. But regardless, and those types of tanks, I did a lot of stuff with open space, but I tended to really just overplant them, and did a lot of, I had a lot of jungle val and the 40 long for a while, and then I had the baby tears that went crazy. So, I know you guys probably, you may remember, especially if you go back, but take a look at those. That's more of a, like a jungle type. I like to call it like a jungle theme, where we just got a ton of plants and it's just overpopulated with plants, and you're really more like, wow, look at the plants, and then you don't even care about the fish. Whereas this tank, I'm hoping it's going to be kind of an equal type of a thing, because you're going to have an awesome effect with the current, because I've talked about, but I haven't really gotten to actually show you an awesome, excuse me, an awesome aquascape, which has a real good strong current of water going through it. I really like to do stuff with that too. So this will be a nice example of what we can do with the water current, as well as just minimal different types of varieties of plants. Sure, there's going to be a lot of plants in the actual tank. It'll be very, very planted once it's all grown up, but it's not necessarily going to be very many varieties. The same thing with the fish. There's going to be quite a number of fish in here eventually, but not necessarily so many varieties. So you're going to see less is more with this tank for sure. It's going to be an awesome showpiece, and it's really going to make this the living room really an enjoyable thing to sit in, because I've got my TV sitting over here. It's just real nice that I can sit on my couches and have guests over, and there's still a tank here even in my small house. It's just a great place to have one that you can watch your TV and kind of keep an eye on one of your tanks and just and just kind of hang out and relax. You know, you don't necessarily need a TV. Maybe I'll switch the TV off and I'll watch the tank. So definitely it's going to be an interesting type of a tank, and that's what you want. You know, you want something when people walk in, you want them to say, wow, you know, that's a really cool tank. And, you know, there's, sure, everybody, especially if you're like me, you know, maybe you're not a one tank type of guy. You got multiple tank syndrome, you got 10 tanks now, and not necessarily are all of your tanks about, not necessarily are all your tanks, you know, show quality type tanks. You're not going to show them off. You're more like you're growing out this type of fish, or you have one where you just got tons of plants in it. You know, you're growing those for the next, you know, for the next big aquascape you're planning, or whatever. I mean, you know, I know how it goes. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about some tanks. Like, this is definitely going to be one of those tanks where it's going to be a wow factor, hopefully. And I think you guys are really going to dig what I'm going to do to it eventually. We are going to actually go, I might as well just allude to it now. I am actually going to upgrade the lighting system. You know, I'm just going to start growing it right now with T8s. But this is eventually going to get the T5 HOs on it, because I know I've done a lot of cheap stuff lately, and while I'm still not, you know, sitting pretty and super loaded down with money, I think it's important for, you know, you guys as well as the channel, just in general, that we don't just focus on the cheaper stuff, but we also need to, you know, do recognize that T5 HOs do exist, you know, and that and that way we can just kind of show you what they'll do. So I don't want to just have all DIY stuff everywhere, although I am going to introduce some more DIY stuff, obviously, because, I mean, come on, folks. That's what I do. I mean, I'm cheap, and I find some awesome deals, and hey, nobody's been complaining about the CFL bulbs, okay? We've got, like, the most hits on that video, and they've been growing stuff like crazy. So, here's to the dirty tanks. Hope you guys are literally following along with the videos and planning a tank right now. So hopefully right now you've got your tank half filled up, and you're about to watch the next video that I'm going to make, which is how to fill this thing up with water successfully without completely destroying your tank and without getting dirt all over the place. So stay tuned, watch my next video that I'm about to put out, and let's do this. Alright, so let's keep you and your fish tanks, and especially your dirty tanks, on Cloud 9.